I am so excited. We have a highlight sort of podcast with some of the teachers and educated in our church community. Was able to pick a few sample pool, if you will, of teachers and educators in our school system, and just trying to find out what is it like for these guys right now, working, still trying to educate our kids, still trying to counsel our kids while they are in quarantine. And I was thinking that maybe we could do different groups in different weeks. Maybe next week we'll do healthcare workers from our church. And then the following week we'll find out what it's like to be single and kind of quarantined by yourself. And then maybe parents who have little kids, we'll find out what it's like for them. But this first Zoom podcast, if you will, is with just a few teachers and educators in our community. Take a listen. It's about 20 minutes long. I hope that if you're a parent that you can understand what they're going through, and anybody can appreciate and just find ways to pray for them and encourage them. All right, everybody, check it out. All right, so real quick, what do you guys, for the sake of people who don't know, what do you each do in which school system?
I teach second grade in Homedale.
Second grade at Homedale.
I teach art in Howell.
For what grades?
Kindergarten, first and second grade.
I teach fifth grade in Freehold.
And I don't teach. Well, in some ways I do. I'm the school counselor for Lanes Mill Elementary School in Brick.
Cool. We were going to have another counselor with Lizzie on, but she texted and said she can't make it now. Cool. So, yeah, not necessarily looking for each of you to answer every question, but if you have a thought, jump in. Let me just start off with this. What has been the hardest thing for you guys doing the school online? From at home? What's the hardest thing for you guys about that?
I think for me as an art teacher, I just feel very disconnected from what I teach because it is so reliant on the tangible and the tactile elements, and so not being able to physically help the kids as they're learning how to do something and create art is tough. And just providing them with guidance the best I can with whatever materials they have at home, and just kind of leaving it up in the air. And it's sad because I wish that I could be helping them more, interacting with them more on that.
Yeah.
On that note.
What about you guys?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I find that are the most difficult. Number one is, teaching is really relational. It's building those relationships with the students, and you get to know each student personally. You know their strengths, you know their weaknesses, you know how to reach them. And now you're doing this online, and you just have lost one of your greatest assets. The other thing is trying to develop lessons that meet their needs. As much as frustrating it is for the kids, is really frustrating for us because we weren't prepared. All of a sudden they say, oh, by the way, we're going online. You go ahead and develop everything. That was an overwhelming task in the very beginning.
What do you mean develop everything?
Well, you have the ideas that what you have to teach, but you have to create the lessons and you have to put it all together. Even if we send out websites, we have to research those websites and know what standards it address, what it doesn't, whether it's appropriate for the student. There's so many different facets to that to teaching.
I think that to piggyback off that, I know I've been teaching for 12 years, so I have all my lessons, handouts and worksheets ready. So I'm developing brand new, creations in a Google Doc or a Google slideshow to send remotely. So I'm basically starting from scratch. I know, Scott said, the standards and objectives that I want to hit, but everything's brand new that I'm creating, really.
So you're second grade, right?
Yes.
So I got a second grader. She uses like the Math IXL. Do you use that?
No,
You don't
I'm
use
not
it.
familiar with it.
So I thought it was like a statewide thing. Everybody in second grade is using Math IXL, and this is what you guys are doing. So you're having to
No.
develop.
So, and that's honestly my biggest struggle is like finding the balance, right? So like, if you think about that, like he's getting a different education in a way than my second graders. So one of the things that has been the hardest for me is that parents are either, I sent out a survey to parents and said, how's it going? You know, how can I make this easier for you? Just to get some feedback. And I said, are there too many assignments? Are there too little assignments? You know, a bunch of different questions. And when I got the results back, I said, oh, this was pointless because some parents said there were too many assignments and some parents said there were too little assignments. And so, you know, here I am trying to like meet them all in the middle, right? And to try to create like something that's balanced. You know, obviously my life would be easier if I cut back on the assignments because I'm in second grade creating 7 lessons a day, you know, every subject. It would be much easier for me if I said, let me do 2 subjects. But then I would feel like I'm giving a disservice to my children. My job is to prepare them for 3rd grade, and they're already at a disadvantage because we're in this situation, right? So, you know, I can't give them too little to do because I have to feel like they're going to be successful. And if Kayla's in a class next year and she's done all these assignments and she's super prepared and my kids aren't, you know, then I'm not setting her up for success.
Yeah, it does make sense, and that's helpful to me.
What I find most difficult, because I'll go back to that original question, is that okay?
Yeah.
Is the effort to try to separate out the worlds. You know, like I have a role in the school which is not well defined, but yet I'm on call, say, all the time. So I'm troubleshooting all the time at home. So I'm always available. I'm always available to teachers, students, constantly. And my role at home can be very similar. Like I'm on call, available, and everybody wants me all the time. So it is really, really super, super hard for me, because today was a really good example of that. Because after you had shared what we might be talking on, I'm like, well, this is a good example, because I can't sustain any time frame to really stay focused enough to get something done that needs to get done, or to stay organized enough to get through. It has to be what I need to get through, the calls I need to make, or, you know, it's just really, really hard in general. So that's really hard for me, is just having the 2 worlds in one place.
Yeah, I would imagine. And Amanda, you got a new baby. Yeah, I would imagine it's again, I had a narrow view as a parent. You know, why are they just throwing all this stuff at us? But then, you know, my wife, with her help, you know what, they're probably feeling kind of stuck in the middle between a rock and a hard place, and probably underappreciated. Do you guys feel that way?
I have to say, actually, like we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from our parents in PTA, which has been really encouraging. Even, I'm sure it's not 100%, but like to receive that encouragement, it really does lift your morale.
That's great. That's great.
One parent told me that teachers should make millions of dollars.
Wait, Scott, you're muted. Hold on.
That's what I love about this in one sense, is that parents for the first time are starting to understand what teachers are going through. When you think about it, they have 1, 2, 3 children and they are freaking out. Multiply that by 20, 25 kids, and we have to meet their needs on a regular basis and know them individually. It is it's an extraordinary job.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that parents are starting to understand, because for the first time I'm hearing how much a teacher is appreciated.
Oh,
It's
good.
refreshing.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, it's you're right. What you said. We've got 2 kids and we split them, and so I'm in with one, and it's tough to get through assignments, and so I picture you guys with multitude of them trying to keep them all up to speed. It's got to be
Doing a song and dance every 5 seconds.
bad. You guys need like a lot of coffee every day. I would imagine that you guys normally you're followers of Jesus. You're working in the school systems. That you tend to wake up, maybe not every morning, but you tend to wake up kind of with a sense of purpose going in there. Like you're going in, you're surrounded by people. You've got kids, you got other teachers, you've got administrators. I would imagine you generally feel a sense of purpose going in there. Am I right?
Yeah.
And then all of us, like, does it feel dramatically different now when you wake up in the morning, or does it still feel like, no, I'm going in there, I still have that sense of purpose and going to be a light? Or is there a little bit of like, I don't really feel like doing this today?
I think there's almost more purpose in a way because even at the second grade level, these kids are feeling the results of this. They may not know the details. Some of them do, some of them don't, but they miss their friends and they miss, their teachers. And I feel very compelled to make the kids know that I still see them and I still love them and I miss them every day. I think that that's just really important, more than the work. And so, like, if a kid is not submitting their assignments, I want them to know that I realize that they're missing. They're missing their assignments, and that's showing me, is everything okay at home? How can I help you? What's going on that's not allowing you to complete the work? And I think also, to piggyback off that, what's really helpful for me is like when parents reach out and say, this is too much or this is too little, because then I know and I can adjust, right? So and I think all teachers have a heart for kids, and if we don't want the kids on the computer all day, right? So if it's taking all day for them to complete their assignments, we don't know that, so we need to be told that. And my guess is, most of the time the teachers are going to adapt for that kid and say, hey, you only do the odd numbers, or set a timer and work for each assignment for 20 minutes. Don't no one wants to these kids to be frustrated or feel like it's cumbersome in any way.
Let me ask this question. What are some, think in terms of bullet points, what are some do's and don'ts for parents to be aware of, to do, helpful, not helpful?
Well, I'll just jump in real quick to say I think it's super important to have routine. I think that establishing a routine is probably really important. So I'd say that's a do. Like, try to have your wake up time be the same and your meal times be similar. And even know, like, for the preschools, that they were even, like, some of the parents were packing like their lunch box, so like the children were feeling the familiarness of what they would typically be doing. So I think that that's really important, regardless of what the age is. And even for us, that routine is super important. So I think that's a do for sure.
Absolutely.
Good. That's good.
I would also say do communicate what's really going on, because I know when I've had parents be honest with me and send me an email like, I'm sorry, we don't have this material because we haven't been able to just go out and buy it, or we ran out. Like, my main concern is their well-being, and like emotionally and physically. And so while I do care about what I'm teaching right now, I just want to be able to support them emotionally through it. So I think that human capacity to empathize is really needed right now for everybody's well-being. So I think communication is really important, honest communication.
Just understanding that we're all in this together. that we're all remembering that the teachers are learning and they're trying to be as helpful as possible. And they're looking for feedback from the parents as well. Sometimes they need to step back and just say, it's just a day. We need to relax at times.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
Sometimes we put so much emphasis on the task and the success of it that we forget that, life still goes on and not everything is essential. That
parents are allowed to skip assignments here and there.
They need to take a break at times. We all, when we're feeling overwhelmed as parents, that's when you need to step back and say, this needs to be a recess. This needs a timeout for a time to say, this is overwhelming. And if I keep pushing, all I'm going to do is frustrate my child and frustrate myself. I'm not going to like the teacher. I'm not going to like anything about education whatsoever.
Yeah.
Get me back in school.
Yeah. Scott, I was actually thinking similar and I would tag it onto what Sarah said as far as communication, because I was thinking in my mind, if the child's feeling too much pressure and too much stress, that's the don't. It's like, don't push through that. And then you have to have the communication with the teacher of what's happening. And I think that's really important. So Chris, yeah, you have permission to not finish assignments.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that to my kids all the time, but my oldest is like, no, we have to, or I'll get in trouble. I'm like, I don't think you'll get in trouble. You're allowed to skip. And she's a very type A. She's like, no, we're going to get, and I'm like, sweetie, you can, it's like, sweetie, it's okay. Slow down, relax. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then the other one is, pay attention. You got to finish this. It is important.
But you know what? One of the things that everybody has to realize is there's a lot of loss that's taking place right now. There's a loss of relationship. There's a loss of the peers. There's a loss of relationship with their teachers. All these things are really important to the kids. And so sometimes we need to step back and recognize that they might not be defiant because of the material. They may just be angry because of the situation. And on top of this, now we have the coronavirus that a lot of the kids are really afraid of. So there's a lot of stuff going on. It's not just, reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yeah. That's good.
I think in general, there's definitely like a movement of mindfulness in education. Like emotional mindfulness and like physical, being aware of what's going on in your body. And I think that this is a really important time to it's a teaching moment for families and kids to be able to recognize like what they're feeling and that it's okay to feel that way. I know for me personally, like there's been ups and downs. It's been hard. And some days I feel great and I feel really confident about the projects that I'm putting out there for the kids, and then other days I don't feel like that. And I think it's okay and important to accept that, hey, it's okay to not have a good day. It's okay to not understand what you're learning. It's okay to have a day where you just are feeling grumpy.
It's good. It's good.
I think that a don't would be, don't ask me to fix your computer. I get a lot of emails and I don't know anything about like your computer or they're like, this isn't working, and I'm like, well, it's working for 17 other kids, so restart your computer. I feel like I'm IT sometimes. And
what do you say to a parent who asks? Like, do you refer them to a IT guide or something?
I usually just say restart your computer, or I'd say 99% of the time I say try it again, and they try again and it works. So it's usually like an internet is down for a second, or these kids. I think one of our jobs as educators is like to teach them to be problem solvers, and I feel like this generation is very like instant gratification. So if it's not working the first time, it's like it doesn't work coming up. But with technology, especially with, you know, millions of people being on, you know, the internet and, you know, different websites, like they crashed, and you know, I'm not responsible for the websites crashing. So I'm like, let it rest for 5 minutes and try again. It's just usually what I tell them.
That's a good one. Not that we've asked our teacher to help fix anything, but hopefully that will help other parents out there. Last question. How can we, as the church, be praying for you guys in the school system?
I would say for the emotional well-being for everyone, and obviously the physical well-being, but also for me, something that comes to my heart that I'm sure a lot of other people are dealing with too is like apathy, just because of how overwhelming and different everything is. Like, I know for me, it's been easy to fall into moments where I'm just like, I don't even feel the motivation to put the same effort in, or the same enthusiasm in that I normally would. So really, like, praying against that is much appreciated.
I would love prayer for discernment to know like how best to reach certain kids, and even just knowing which kids are struggling, which kids are need an extra like video message from me to say, hey. So yeah, discernment for reaching out to kids.
That's good. That's helpful. I mean, really, that's helpful. Me and Jess are going to put this into practice. So,
Along with what Amanda said, it's like wisdom. It's wisdom and just creativeness. Just being creative is really important. I know for myself, I have to come up with a whole new way, and it's just beginning now at this point. So I know that teachers are going to continue to need that as well, and also patience with each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's a trying time, and people get impatient with each other. Coworkers, I think that that has happened. I've seen it happen. I've seen it become not a good thing. So I think that you know, that we're just patient with each other, you know, and that we're loving and kind to each other.
yeah.
Because we're in it together, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thank you. Okay. Any other things?
Yeah,
No, I was just going to mention really quick, and this doesn't have to be anything that has to be out there, but like Chris, what you were talking about getting all stressed out and everything, and I think like there was I received something on Facebook, and I think it was Facebook anyway, and I don't even do Facebook that much, but I actually posted it onto my whatever you call it page, just that caring for your kids' emotional needs is so important, and caring for your own as a parent, having good check on where you are is super important. And I know some people are working, some people aren't working, some people are working from home, and so that it's diverse on what it looks like in the home. But regardless, I think everybody's under stress, and our children are learning so much about how to manage stress and be resilient through the challenges. And so I think it's like super important that parents sort of like check in with themselves and assess what's going on with them, and be careful about what it looks like, and really invest in and being healthy themselves. And I think that could be so beneficial for the children. So I think that's super important for parents.
It's good. Yeah. Scott, you were going to say something, and then we'll.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on discernment and wisdom clearly, and so that we really want to see the love of Christ to be seen through us. You know, that's just and so that we are sensitive to the Spirit and then we know exactly what direction, what to say. It's difficult times. It's different times, and we just need the wisdom of knowing when to speak and when to be quiet.
That's good. Guys, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know I was thinking we'd be done by 5. We went a little over. I hope I didn't mess up your school plans. I hope there's not parents waiting to hear how to fix their computers from you.
I'm sure I have like 6 emails.
But thank you so much for what you're doing, and thank you for helping us get a window into what you're doing and what it's like for you, and how we can be praying, and as parents, the do's and don'ts. Super helpful. Yeah, it really is. It really, like, personally, it's helpful to me. I'm sure it's going to be helpful to other people. But thank you for all that you're doing, and I'll let you guys get back to it.